Welcome to Light Over Heat with Professor David Yamani. This week I want to talk about the diversity of American gun culture and its possible futures. The concept of gun culture 2.0 is honestly a bit of a two-edged sword for me because although I think there's good reason to argue that the core of American gun culture today does focus on armed self-defense, of course, that's not the only reason people own guns today. It's not the only thing people do with their guns today. So American gun culture has always been diverse in terms of use, and it continues to be diverse in terms of use. So I never want the concept of gun culture 2.0 to suggest otherwise. The other thing about gun culture 2.0 is sometimes the concept fails to grasp the diversity that exists within gun culture 2.0. And so, saying that the main reason people own firearms today is for purposes of self-defense doesn't capture some of the nuances in the reasons people feel that they need self-defense. And for some people, they need self-defense against perceived urban crime and unrest, which is oftentimes coded as Black. And there's also a long-standing Black tradition of arms for self-defense against the injustices that were perpetuated by the white population. So those two groups of people, both of whom fit within gun culture 2.0, don't always sit easily with one another. Right. And you also have feminist traditions of armed self-defense. You have radical leftist traditions of armed self-defense. You have queer traditions of armed self-defense. And again, they all fit within gun culture 2.0 as a concept, but they don't always sit very easily with one another. And so the diversity of both gun culture in general and within gun culture 2.0 itself suggests several different possible futures for American gun culture. A lot of people ask me what I think gun culture 3.0 is going to be, and my usual joking response is that there can be no gun culture 3.0 until I finish my book on gun culture 2.0. But in the recent paper I wrote for the Annals, I did conclude by speculating on some potential futures for American gun culture. One possible future for American gun culture in the post-Bruen world is the growth and consolidation of gun culture 2.0, the further normalization of gun carry in those may issue states, which will now become shall issue, the possible future expansion of permitless carry. All of those things suggest that gun culture 2.0 will remain the core of American gun culture for the indefinite future. A second possible future would be the fragmentation of gun culture 2.0. So the diversity that I spoke of earlier would make it so that the center can't hold. So you might have armed African American groups lined up against armed white supremacist groups, armed against Antifa groups. And so it will just be an arms race with everybody pointing guns at everybody else. A third possible future is the emergence of a truly new core of American gun culture, a gun culture 3.0, and I don't think this is likely given the diversity within gun culture right now, but if this were to emerge as a true core of American gun culture, it would be centered on the Second Amendment as representing a particular understanding of freedom. So this would be a very political core of American gun culture. And I see some downsides to that, but the benefit of that is it would bring people into the gun culture who aren't even gun owners, right? You can support the Second Amendment and what it stands for symbolically, the sacralization of the Second Amendment that's been ongoing over the past few decades without even being a gun owner. And so this has potential to crowd out other aspects of gun culture and become the core. Again, I don't think that that one is particularly likely, but it is a possible future. Let me know what you think the future of American gun culture might be.